You will not believe what Adam Pearce just did backstage at WWE Raw. The general manager completely lost it when LA Knight confronted GUSO in what can only be described as the most chaotic backstage brawl we've seen in months. And folks, I'm telling you right now, this reaction from Pearce has everyone in WWE management questioning if he's finally cracked under the pressure. What happened last night has the entire WWE universe divided, and by the time I'm done breaking this down, you're going to understand why this single moment could change everything we thought we knew about how WWE handles backstage politics. Hit that like button if you think Pearce went too far, or drop a comment telling me I'm wrong, because what I'm about to reveal will shock you to your core. The tension had been building for weeks between LA Knight and GUSO. Everyone could see it coming from a mile away. Knight's been on this incredible hot streak, riding high off his momentum with the WWE Universe completely behind him. Meanwhile, GUSO has been struggling to find his identity as a singles competitor after years of being defined by his relationship with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline. But nobody, and I mean nobody, expected what went down in the backstage area during Monday Night Raw. According to multiple sources backstage, LA Knight was heading to his scheduled interview segment with Kathy Kelly when he spotted GUSO near the catering area. Now, here's where things get interesting, because what happened next wasn't scripted, wasn't planned, and definitely wasn't approved by anyone in creative. Knight, who's never been one to back down from confrontation, decided this was the perfect moment to address the elephant in the room. He walked straight up to G and, according to witnesses, started laying into him about how he's been riding the coattails of his family name for his entire career. The exact words that were exchanged haven't been fully confirmed, but multiple people backstage described it as brutal and personal. GUSO, who's been dealing with his own frustrations about his position on the roster, wasn't about to take that kind of disrespect lying down. Sources tell me that G fired back, questioning Knight's credibility and suggesting that his recent push was nothing more than WWE trying to manufacture another flavor of the month superstar. That's when things escalated beyond just verbal sparring. According to eyewitness accounts, Knight shoved G, and G immediately responded by throwing the first punch. Within seconds, both men were throwing hands in what quickly became an all-out brawl right there in the backstage area. Now, here's where Adam Pearce's shocking reaction comes into play, and trust me, this is where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Pearce, who was reportedly in a meeting with other WWE officials when the commotion started, came rushing to the scene. But instead of immediately trying to separate the two superstars like you'd expect any general manager to do, Pearce did something that has everyone backstage talking. He stood there and watched. For nearly 30 seconds, Adam Pearce just stood there and let LA Knight and GUSO beat the hell out of each other. Multiple witnesses described his facial expression as somewhere between fascination and approval. One source even told me that Pearce had what looked like a slight smile on his face as he watched the chaos unfold. But it gets even more shocking. When security finally arrived and started pulling the two apart, Pearce allegedly told them to let them settle it. Can you believe that? The general manager of Monday Night Raw telling security to back off and let two of his superstars continue fighting in an uncontrolled backstage environment. It wasn't until Triple H himself showed up that Pearce finally stepped in to restore order. But by then, the damage was done. LA Knight had a cut above his left eye, GUSO was holding his ribs, and the entire backstage area was in complete chaos. Production assistants, other wrestlers, and WWE staff members were all trying to process what they had just witnessed. The immediate aftermath was just as shocking as the incident itself. Instead of disciplining both men or launching an investigation into what happened, Pearce made a decision that has everyone questioning his judgment. He booked LA Knight vs GUSO for next week's Monday Night Raw, with the stipulation that the winner would get a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. Think about that for a second. Rather than punishing two superstars for an unsanctioned backstage fight, Adam Pearce essentially rewarded them by giving them exactly what they were fighting about, an opportunity to prove who's the better man in the ring with championship implications on the line. But here's what makes Pearce's reaction even more controversial. According to sources close to WWE management, Triple H was reportedly furious about how the situation was handled. The expectation was that both Knight and G would face some form of disciplinary action, possibly including fines or suspensions. Instead, Pearce turned their real-life conflict into a storyline without consulting anyone else in management. This has led to some serious questions about Adam Pearce's authority as general manager and whether he's becoming too comfortable making executive decisions without proper oversight. Remember, Pearce is supposed to be the on-screen authority figure, but his role requires him to work closely with WWE's creative team and management structure. Going rogue like this could have serious consequences for his position. The wrestling community's reaction has been just as divided as you'd expect. Some fans are praising Pearce for letting wrestlers be wrestlers and allowing real emotion and conflict to drive storylines. They argue that this is exactly what WWE needs, less scripted drama and more authentic moments that feel genuine and unpredictable. On the other hand, many are criticizing Pearce for potentially putting talent at risk and failing in his basic responsibilities as an authority figure. The argument here is that backstage fights, no matter how compelling they might be for storyline purposes, create a dangerous precedent and could lead to serious injuries or legal issues down the road. Social media has been absolutely exploding with reactions to this story. Wrestling Twitter is completely split between those calling Pearce a genius for turning real conflict into compelling television and those demanding that WWE take action against him for mishandling the situation. But let's dig deeper into what this really means for all the parties involved. For LA Knight, this incident and Pearce's reaction could be exactly what he needs to cement his status as a main event player. Knight has been building momentum for months, but this real conflict with GUSO gives him something authentic to sink his teeth into. If he can capitalize on this opportunity and deliver in the ring next week, it could catapult him to the next level. For GUSO, this situation presents both an opportunity and a risk. On one hand, he gets a chance to prove himself as a legitimate singles competitor and show that he can hang with one of WWE's hottest rising stars. On the other hand, if he comes up short in this match, it could reinforce the narrative that he's not ready to step out of his family's shadow. The Intercontinental Championship implications add another layer of complexity to this whole situation. Whoever wins this match will get a shot at what many consider to be WWE's workhorse title. Both Knight and G desperately need that kind of credibility boost, which explains why emotions ran so high in their backstage confrontation. But the biggest question mark hanging over this entire situation is what it means for Adam Pearce's future as general manager. His shocking reaction to the backstage brawl has put him in an incredibly precarious position with WWE management. While it's possible that his decision to turn real conflict into compelling television could be seen as creative brilliance, it's just as likely that it could be viewed as a serious lapse in judgment that undermines his authority. There are already rumors circulating backstage that Triple H and other WWE executives are reconsidering Pearce's role and whether he has the judgment necessary to handle the responsibilities that come with being general manager. If those rumors are true, Pearce's shocking reaction to the Knight GUSO brawl could end up costing him his job. The timing of this incident is particularly significant given WWE's current creative direction. The company has been making a concerted effort to create more authentic, character-driven storylines that feel less manufactured and more organic. Pearce's decision to embrace the real conflict between Knight and G fits perfectly with that creative philosophy, but it also raises questions about where the line should be drawn between authenticity and safety. Industry insiders are already speculating about how this incident will influence WWE's approach to similar situations in the future. Will this become the new standard for handling backstage conflicts, or will it be treated as a one-time exception that won't be repeated? The answer to that question could have far-reaching implications for how WWE operates behind the scenes. From a business perspective, Pearce's reaction has already generated an incredible amount of buzz and attention for next week's Monday Night Raw. Social media engagement around this story has been through the roof, and ticket sales for upcoming shows have reportedly seen a noticeable uptick. If that trend continues, it could vindicate Pearce's controversial decision-making and prove that sometimes taking risks pays off. But there's also the legal and safety considerations that can't be ignored. WWE has a responsibility to provide a safe working environment for its performers, and allowing or encouraging unsanctioned fights could create liability issues that the company simply can't afford to deal with. That's likely part of why Triple H was reportedly so upset about how the situation was handled. The Wrestlers Union and other industry organizations are also watching this situation closely. If WWE is seen as encouraging or allowing dangerous behavior backstage, it could create pressure for more oversight and regulation of working conditions in professional wrestling. That's something WWE definitely wants to avoid, especially given their status as a publicly traded company. Looking ahead to next week's Monday Night Raw, the pressure is going to be enormous for both LA Knight and GUSO to deliver in the ring. They know that all eyes will be on them, not just because of their upcoming match, but because of how they got there. The wrestling world will be watching to see if they can channel their real animosity into compelling in-ring action. For Adam Pearce, next week's show will be just as crucial. He'll need to prove that his controversial decision to book this match was the right call and that he can maintain order while still allowing for authentic storytelling. If the match delivers and the storyline continues to generate positive buzz, it could justify his shocking reaction to the backstage brawl. But if things go poorly or if there are any safety issues, it could seal his fate as general manager. The broader implications for WWE's creative direction are also worth considering. If this approach of embracing real conflict and turning it into storylines proves successful, we could see more of it in the future. That could lead to more authentic, compelling programming, but it also increases the risk of things getting out of hand or crossing lines that shouldn't be crossed. What's particularly interesting about this situation is how it highlights the ongoing tension between WWE's corporate structure and the more chaotic, unpredictable nature of professional wrestling. Pearce's reaction represents the wrestling side of that equation, the belief that sometimes you have to let things play out naturally and embrace the chaos. But the corporate reaction from management represents the business side, the need for control, safety, and predictability. The fact that this incident has generated so much discussion and controversy within the wrestling community shows just how significant it really is. This isn't just about one backstage fight or one controversial decision by a general manager. It's about the fundamental question of how modern professional wrestling should balance authenticity with safety, spontaneity with control, and entertainment value with business considerations. As we wait to see how this all plays out next week on Monday Night Raw, one thing is certain: Adam Pearce's shocking reaction to the LA Knight and GUSO backstage brawl has created a watershed moment that could influence how WWE operates for years to come. Whether that influence is positive or negative remains to be seen, but there's no denying that this incident has changed the conversation around backstage management and creative decision-making in professional wrestling. The wrestling world is watching, and next Monday night, we'll get our first indication of whether Adam Pearce's controversial gamble will pay off or if his shocking reaction will go down as one of the biggest mistakes in recent WWE history. Either way, this story is far from over, and the ramifications will be felt throughout the wrestling industry for months to come. What do you think about Adam Pearce's handling of this situation? Was he right to turn real conflict into compelling television, or did he cross a line that should never be crossed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Wrestling News CC for all the latest updates on this developing story and everything else happening in the world of professional wrestling.